This is Donna with More Than a Review, and we are here with Marianne Jordan. We just finished our Facebook Live interview that I'll include a link to because you'll definitely want to see it. She's going to share a little bit about herself and her books, and then kind of share it, I don't know if you call it behind the scenes, but kind of...
That's perfect.
That's perfect. So go ahead and share just a little bit about yourself and your books.
All right, my name is Marianne Jordan. I'm a USA Today best-selling author. I have 35 books. Actually, the 35th one comes out in about 2 weeks, and the next several are already written. I'm an indie author. I have been reading forever and writing for many, many years, and just starting publishing about 6 years ago. I love being an indie author. I'm a bit of a control freak, so I like having control over pretty much the whole process. But I'm also smart enough to know what I'm not good at, and so I have cover designers and a business manager and a photographer, and who help me, and of course my editor and proofreader, who help bring the books together. I write romantic suspense, usually military romantic suspense or just military romance. I was an Army wife for a while, and so I understand a lot of the jargon and a lot of the genre. It's my favorite genre to read. And so I hope that what I can present to readers is something that's well researched and well written, but really enjoyable. And I always tell people it's heavy on the romance, light on the suspense.
There you go. You always have to figure out how to balance
exactly.
that. So share with us something that readers might be surprised to know about you.
Well, it's interesting because this, of course, was not my first career. I actually started out many years ago in special education, working in an elementary school. Eventually got a master's in counseling. So I have been an adolescent counselor for the past 25 years, every day working with 1,400 teenagers in public school settings, and I retired 3 years ago to write full-time. The last 2 years I was working full-time and writing full-time, and about 100 hours a week was starting to wear me down, and the writing became successful and I felt really good about it. My husband and I said, let's do it, so we retired, and now I write full-time.
Wow, that's awesome. I love that story.
Thank you.
So go ahead and share with us how maybe your past career has impacted the writing.
It's interesting. I was talking to some readers this morning, and for example, I get some of my ideas from the counseling days. For example, I have a series now called Baytown, and it takes place on the eastern shore of Virginia, and the tagline is sort of, they went to war as boys, they came back as men. And quite a few years ago, after 9/11, I had a group of seniors who graduated together, joined the Marines together. The Marines actually kept them together, which was very interesting. There were 6 young men. And by the end of 5 years, one did not return. One returned with a service dog that he needed, and one returned missing one leg. And it was interesting in seeing this change. They very much went to war as boys but came back as men, and that stuck with me. Those young men meant so much to me, and that's basically what happens in this series. Small town romantic suspense, but yes, they'd already gone off to war. They came back. I say that they went off to war to escape the small town and found out that the world wasn't everything they wanted it to be, and they came back gratefully to a small town that accepted them. And the American Legion plays a huge part in that series. Every single book has an American Legion meeting or the auxiliary. I've had so many readers say, I've never read a book that included something about the American Legion. So that was very special as well. Another series that I have going right now, and this actually harkens back to about 23 years ago, but I had a wonderful young man who had made an error in judgment. We all do. But his error in judgment actually was reflecting on me. And he came in to see me one day and he said, I am so sorry. He said, I made a mistake and I want you to know that I'm sorry. And he was really beating himself up about it. And it meant a lot to me that he had come in as a young man and apologized. And I said to him, I said, I feel fine about you. Because I said, the measure of a man is not in the mistakes he makes. The true measure of a man is what he does about those mistakes. Now, 23 years ago, he's not going to remember me at all. I have never forgotten him. Oh, wow. So I have a Heroes at Heart. It is about military men. They were not special forces, not SEALs. That's another thing I'll tell you in just a minute. But just regular men, and sometimes they make mistakes. But they find out they're heroes inside their heart because they actually do something about the mistakes that they've made. And I think that's really important. I do write alpha male. So many people do. It's a trope that's very popular, but I call them sweet alphas. You know, but yes, it's just very important for me to be able to pull some of the experiences that I've had, and they give me ideas. That's where we get our ideas from.
That is great. So you were going to tell us about the SEALs?
Everybody, I mean, I have written SEAL books, I've written books about special forces, and we all love that. They come back and do security. I've written those books. They're some of my favorite books. But I also felt very strongly about representing what I would almost call more of the common military man. Not everybody's an officer, not everybody's a SEAL, not everybody's special forces and deltas and all these things. There's so many military men and women, the privates and the sergeants and the, you know, they're non-commissioned officers, and they have wonderful, wonderful jobs, wonderful careers. They do so much for us. But sometimes in fiction, they get passed over. So a lot of my characters are more of what I would call the everyday man.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you.
And I think it's special that you even recognize that. You know,
yes, yes.
And do something about it. And don't just, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Very good. All right, so my final question will be like, does writing like excite you or exhaust you? Because you are writing a lot of books.
You know what, thank you. Yes, writing is very energetic for me. I love the writing process. I have a lot of energy. That probably comes out. I do have a lot of energy. I will say though, because I care so much about the books that I put out, I edit them like 3 times before I even send it to my editor. And then I do her edits and I edit it again before it goes to a proofreader. I mean, so there is a process, and by the time I get into that, part of me is getting kind of tired. and I usually have 4 books going at one time. Not, I mean, at different, you know, one's getting ready, yes, at different stages. One's getting ready to go off, and then the next one's ready to edit, that kind of thing. There are days I have to step away. A lot of people say, do you write the same number of words every day? No. Some days I may crank out 10,000 words, and then the next day I don't crank out any because I'm running errands or I'm editing or whatever. I just go with whatever it is. So it is a combination of exciting, because I couldn't do this. I don't think you could do this job if you weren't excited. But it's, I work 7 days a week, probably 10 to 12 hours a day.
Oh, goodness.
So when people say, how do you do it, or you sell so well, and a lot of it is the promotion. After I write, I have to promote, and I want to get my name out, and I push everything so that I want people to know who Marianne Jordan books are.
Yeah, well, and they're going to now.
Well,
USA
yay.
bestseller.
Yay!
Oh,
Thank you.
Awesome. So let me, 2 more questions I
Okay.
thought of.
Okay.
So, if someone is new to your writing, what book would you recommend?
Okay.
And then what's your favorite character that you've created?
Oh, that's a hard one. I usually start people off with my book, Gabe. It is the first book in the Alvarez Security series.
That's the one I bought.
Yes, yes.
He was the best looking cover.
Well,
too.
thank you. And my covers are amazing, I do have to say. I don't go with stock photo. I will just have to say this. I have a wonderful photographer who gets amazing models for me. Many of them have not been on covers before. And I do the full face. I mean, because I pick out the cover model, it looks like the person, and I describe them that way. So, and readers respond so positively to that.
We want that cover to match the person
exactly.
or the book. Yeah.
And when readers walk by and they see my books, they stop, even if they've never heard me. So I have very eye-catching covers, but I want them to pull you in and go, I would like to read about this person. Yeah. But Gabe, the Alvarez series is technically my 3rd series that I wrote. It was sort of what I'd call my breakout series. In other words, suddenly I went from obscurity to best-selling. Those books hit Amazon bestseller list, top 100 on release day. I mean, that was back in the days when that was easier done. And so Gabe is the first one I usually start people with.
Okay.
And I actually write in series. Every book's a standalone, but all the characters in the series show up in all the books. Then I do a spin-off. So if you went through that one, then you could go to the next one and the next one and the next one. But that's a good starting place.
So do you have a favorite character you've created?
Oh my goodness gracious. In some ways, Gabe is a favorite, but in some ways I would go back the very first book I ever wrote, which is a smaller book, Emma's Home, Small Town Detective. I think there's always something special about the very first book. And most authors go back and they look at their first work and they go, oh gosh, I published that. I've gone back 3 times and re-edited my earlier work because I can't stand something out there that's not very good. The books are it is very hard. It's like choosing between your children.
Yep.
But in many ways, I think because I always point to Gabe as that first one, that was a very special book. And I will say my heroines are all independent, but usually written from a point of view that I know. They're teachers, they're counselors, they're social workers, but then I also have, they're all career-minded. And I do a lot of research on the careers I'm not as familiar with to make sure that they're very realistic.
Oh, that's great. So definitely you want to pick up Gabe. As soon as I read it, I will leave my review on the site so you guys will know about it. And I'll even try to get that cover out there for you, maybe.
Oh, yay!
But again, I'm so excited to meet Marianne. And
Thank you.
Her booth was very eye-catching, definitely. Her covers, I can see that. And I think it shows that it makes a difference. You know,
yes.
We try not to judge a book by its cover, but we do.
But we do. And that's what I was telling people today. The cover's the first thing that catches your eye. Whether you're in a bookstore or you're looking on Amazon or wherever, that's the hook.
It is, yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. Definitely make sure you go back and you watch our Facebook Live video too. See you later.
Thank you so much.